So I was watching through this pretty entertaining video by NeetCode's, so go check out his video. I'll put it in the description below. But basically, he's talking about this new hype term called loop engineering, where all these AI leaders are basically saying that they don't even prompt Claude Code anymore. They let a loop basically just do all the work for us. And he kind of goes through and gives a good diagram of how he would think it would work. And I actually want to give you a realistic example of building this out using Claude Code with the /loop command. But basically, it's building out a system that does all the work for you, and then you come in at the end to maybe do some manual review over the code. Now, overall, what we're going to be implementing in this video is you as the agentic operator. That's what I'm going to call my career now, because at this point, I don't know if software engineering is even the right term for it. We are going to basically create a GitHub issue. So GitHub, we'll have issues over here. And my first task when I get hired is I'm going to go ahead and create issues. I guess you can call me like a product owner. And then somehow my final task is going to be review a pull request. Okay, so that's overall the loop that we're going to be doing. And this is where the human is actually going to do some work, review, PR, and I'll just put an X here because I don't know how many steps this is going to take. So the idea is that we're going to have a loop that is going to basically check for GitHub issues with a particular tag in them. So we'll have like a Claude Code loop running, and this will be the implementer, which is going to periodically check Claude Code for issues with ready tag. And if there is an issue with the ready tag, which I would manually probably set, it's going to then grab that issue and it's going to do some work on a work tree. So I'll just go ahead and draw like a path over here. We can just draw a line. I'll say do work inside of a work tree. Now, granted, I'm going to be doing all of this locally on my computer, but as you get into cloud development, you can have these things basically just running nonstop inside of VMs or inside of sandboxes, right? So do the work inside of a work tree. And then at some point, it basically needs to, I'll just go ahead and put create pull request. Now, the second loop that we're going to do is just going to be a Claude Code instance that's going to do a loop, but it's going to just do code review. So I'll just say like the code reviewer, and this will just run and it'll probably just go back and add comments to a pull request. So I'll just put step 4 is like add comments to PR. Okay. Now let's build out one more. We're going to have another one that is going to be called the code fixer or something. And it's going to basically look for pull requests that have comments and try to resolve them. So I'm just going to just resolve PR comments. And then finally, we could have one last one that's just basically going to tag pull requests as done when all the comments have been addressed. So this will be called the finalizer. And its job is to basically just tag PRs as ready for human. Okay, that's where we come back and we have to review it. So this would be like step 7 in a sense. Okay, so overall, this is one example of loop engineering. You could have 4 of these loops running and Claude Code basically just takes care of it. So we're going to take a screenshot of all this and we're going to just paste it into this project. Using the attached diagram, I want you to create 4 different Claude loops on my local machine. The first loop needs to go and look at any GitHub issue that has a tag ready on them. When you first pull the issue, go ahead and change and update the tag to be in progress. Then start doing the work that was described in the issue locally inside of a work tree, and then go ahead and push that work up to a branch and create a pull request. The second loop needs to go through any pull requests that have no comments on them and leave any feedback or any suggestions as to how to make the pull request better. Make sure you at least leave one comment on the pull request when you're done with your findings, but also please leave comments that require resolving after you're done with the formal review. The third loop should be a code fixer, which goes and looks at all the pull requests that have comments that are unresolved and go through and actually fix up the comments that were left there. And when you're done, please resolve any of the existing comments that you've addressed. And by the way, for the second looper that is doing the actual reviews, if a new commit has happened on that pull request since you last reviewed it, then you need to re-review it and then go through and add in any more comments and mark them and require resolution for those so that the loop 2 and loop 3 will continuously keep going until you reach a convergence where loop 2 should just mark the PR as ready for human review. Now, as I read that out, I realized that maybe we don't even need this third loop. Like this thing could potentially just be smart enough to mark the pull request as done. Like if it's trying to do the review and it realizes that like, hey, there's nothing else that needs to be fixed, it could just mark it for like human review. So let's just do this. I'll say mark for human review. This could be step 6. Okay, so this is the overall idea. You have like 3 different agents that are basically doing work. One is reviewing, one is fixing the review comments, and it kind of goes back and forth until it converges, until it reaches a point where I can come through and actually like review the final code, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and just kick this one off. I'm gonna take a new screenshot of this because I did kind of change how it works. Let's just paste this in. We only need 3 loop calls in the end. Now, hopefully it's smart enough to figure that out. I think it will be because these agents are actually pretty smart. So we're going to go back to the coffee shop one. I'm going to go ahead and just make some tags here in case we're missing some. I probably should have said labels, not tags. So I'm going to go ahead and just make one called ready. And then we'll make one called in progress. And then I think that's probably all we need. Oh, I guess I could say ready for human. So we can create that one as well. And I'm just going to tag these and just put them in as the thing. Ready for human, needs in progress, and ready are the 3 labels I've created. Okay, I'll just go ahead and update that context so it can actually like figure that out properly. And then we're going to go ahead and just make an issue here. And I want to say adding in checkers support. I want you to add in a checkers game. Follow the similar paradigm that you did for the battleships game, but instead allow 2 players to play checkers with each other. We'll just go ahead and create this one. And I'm also going to just mark this as ready. And then we're going to go over here and I'll make one more, and I won't mark it as ready. Add in a Connect 4 game. Following the same pattern for the Battleships game, I want you to also create a Connect 4 game that people can sit down at a table to play together. Also, when a user sits down at a table, I want you to show a menu where they can pick from the existing games to actually spin up so that the next person who sits down at the table, they can play that game with them. Okay, and we will also do this, and we will create ready as well. Now, to make it simple, I'm going to delete all these extra labels so it only has those 3 to like really think about. I just don't want to flood it with additional context that'll get it confused. So in progress, ready, and ready for human. So we'll go back, and at some point, we should see 3 loops get generated. So now it went through and it created the loop implementer MD, the loop reviewer MD, and also the loop fixer. And then it also gave it basically star access to run any type of rootkit on my machine. This sounds like pretty legit. So now it's going to basically tell us how to run these. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a loop implementer, and then we're also going to run the loop reviewer. It's saying that I need 3 separate terminals. I thought loops run in the background, so I'm not really sure about that. So now at this point, I'm going to let this run, and I will come back in with a follow-up. Okay, so I let this run for a while, and you can see here I have the 2 pull requests that are open. They are both ready for human review. If you review through these, you'll see that the implementer did the initial pull request, and then you have a reviewer that went through and left a bunch of comments. And then later, the fixer came through and actually addressed those comments and resolved them. And then the reviewer came back and found more stuff, which the fixer came through and fixed that up. And then finally, we got a final review. And I guess the reviewer marked it as ready for human review. Now, technically, I could read through this, but we're not going to because human review is also kind of pointless at this point. And then we also have a checkers game. So let's just go ahead and click on this one. And we could go through and review the actual file changes. It looks like it added a giant JavaScript file that's over like 600 lines of code. It minified it. Now for the other PR, there is a conflict. So I don't think these are smart enough to resolve conflicts. Can you update the code fixer to go in any pull request that has conflicts? Just go ahead and fix the conflicts for that pull request. Now, another thing I kind of prompted it when I was kind of letting this run is locking. When you have all these things trying to run concurrently, you could have multiple pull the same exact issue and have like duplicate work happening. And so if you are running it all on the same machine, you can just have like make directory be your locking mechanism to lock down a branch. And so it's going to check to see if it can actually grab that directory first. And if it can, then that is the loop that's going to do the work. On a cloud environment where you have a ton of these things running all concurrently, you probably have to have some type of centralized locking service because using GitHub labels probably just isn't, going to work, right? Okay, I'm actually going to close all these sessions because I realized that you can actually just have all these things run in a single Claude Code session. Like you don't have to have all of these running separate sessions. So I'm going to clear them all, and we'll just stick with one. And it's updating this to be able to handle conflicts as well. So like when I run the code fixer, it should just automatically go through here and fix this. By the way, let me know in the comments, should I be using 3 separate Claude sessions for doing these 3 separate loops, or can I just put them all in the same one? Because I do see that it has 2 of the cron things added. I don't see the fixer. No loop number 3 is scheduled yet. Start it with. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't add the fixer. I've told it to do the fixer. Okay, so now the conflict is fixed. I'm going to go ahead and merge this into main. And then we're going to go back over here and just make sure we check out main. Pull the latest. Do a quick little launchpad deploy. And then that should be on my actual VM. All right, there we go. Now we have checkers. I'll do connect 4. And then I'm going to try to join with this person. Make sure I clear the cache. And yeah, now we can play connect 4 together. So I will go first. Opponent's turn. Click here. We got my turn. Let's just see if this game actually works. This might take a while. All right, let's just go here, and then boom, new game. Yeah, and we can leave the game. So now we actually have 4 different games that we can play from. Battleship. Let's try checkers as well. I might have to leave the game and come back for that to work. Okay, checkers. I'm going to go ahead and move here. Oh, opponent's turn. Let's go ahead and move there. I can move there. Yeah, so again, this was all created by using looping. We have 3 games now. You can sit down at a table, you can play checkers, you can play Battleship, or you can play Connect 4. All right, that's about it. I just want to kind of show you my understanding of looping. Maybe the definition is a little vague at this point, but it's basically finding ways to have these agents work autonomously, pulling work, doing work, reviewing work, reading logs to create issues. You can have them automatically send Slack messages. You could have an agent that ideates on your project and tries to give ideas and makes GitHub issues for those. And you can go through, you can just click one and say it's ready. And then the other loops will kick in and start working on this stuff. And there's a ton of stuff out there that already kind of does this. So this is not a new concept. I mean, I was doing this at the end of last year in December, having with Automaker, basically you just have these things build all night and just ideate, build, test, make commits, get them deployed out there. But I guess now these agents are a little bit more capable. And the idea of actually having all these different loops of agents that are running nonstop, it's a pretty cool thing. And so imagine this if you scaled it. This is just me running Claude Code on my machine, doing some simple loops, but you can scale this and have it being hooked into a ton of different stuff, just having agents run consistently nonstop. All right, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day and happy coding.